Ethan walked carefully through the forest, his boots pressing softly into the damp earth. The morning sun filtered through the tall trees, scattering light on the moss-covered ground. Birds chirped in the distance, and the soft rustling of leaves made the woods feel alive. But Ethan's mind was not on the beauty of nature today. His thoughts were fixed on the strange machine he had discovered weeks ago, the one he had fixed and that had spoken his name before fading into silence. Since that day, he could not stop thinking about it. He had tried to explain it to himself logically, tried to call it a coincidence, but deep down he knew there was something extraordinary about that machine, something that was waiting for him, something that needed him, and now he was back. Ethan adjusted the strap of his bag, which was filled with tools he had carefully chosen. Screwdrivers, spanners, small electronic devices, and even a few gadgets of his own design were packed neatly inside. He believed that today, he would understand the machine better. He wanted to find out why it had called his name and why it had suddenly powered on. The forest grew thicker as he walked, and the sunlight struggled to reach the ground. Vines hung from trees like green curtains, and roots twisted across the path, making his steps careful and deliberate. As he moved forward, he noticed something strange. Small marks in the dirt, almost like mechanical footprints, stretched ahead. They were tiny, precise, and metallic in nature. Ethan knelt and inspected them closely. They were unlike anything a human or an animal could leave. "This is new," he murmured, brushing a few grains of dirt off one mark. "The machine must have moved." Ethan followed the trail, his heart beating faster with every step. The trail led him to a small clearing, and there it was. The machine sat half buried under years of fallen leaves and vines, its metal surface scratched and old, yet oddly glowing with a faint blue light. It looked abandoned yet alive. He approached slowly, hands hovering over the surface. The machine was unlike any technology he had seen. Its design was intricate, almost delicate, but it radiated power. Small gears and panels shifted slightly, as if acknowledging his presence. Ethan's fingers itched to touch it. Taking a deep breath, he knelt beside the machine and began his inspection. He carefully removed some vines and dirt, exposing panels that were covered in strange symbols and tiny buttons. He ran his fingers over them, trying to understand the structure. It felt alive, responding subtly to his touch. "All right," he whispered. "Let's see what you want." Ethan opened his bag and began checking his tools. He needed to be ready for anything. The last time he had fixed this machine, it had been a simple mechanical repair, but now it felt different. This time it was as if the machine was waiting for him to prove something. Hours passed as he carefully examined every part. The sun moved across the sky, casting long shadows across the clearing. Ethan worked methodically, testing wires, adjusting circuits, and cleaning old gears. Each adjustment made the machine hum slightly, a soft vibration that ran through his fingers. It was almost like it was alive, then suddenly a voice, a soft metallic whisper, "Ethan." Ethan froze. The machine had spoken, not with words like a person, but a sound that formed his name clearly. His heart jumped and a shiver ran down his spine. I'm here," he said quietly, unsure if he should be talking to a machine. The machine's lights pulsed, as if responding to his voice. Ethan realized it recognized him, knew him somehow, but why? How could a machine old, hidden in the woods, know his name? He shook his head, trying to focus. "Okay, focus, Ethan, you can do this. You fixed it once. You can understand it now." With determination, he started working again. He noticed a small panel that seemed to respond only when he pressed it in a specific sequence. Ethan's hands moved carefully, testing combinations. Each correct press made a small mechanical part move inside the machine. The sounds were like tiny clicks, clicks that seemed to form a rhythm, then another whisper. "You understand?" Ethan froze again, listening. The voice was faint, mechanical, but there was a sense of intelligence behind it. It was trying to communicate. He realized that the machine wasn't just responding to touch. It was responding to thought, to understanding, to creativity. It needed his human mind, not just hands. Hours turned into evening. Ethan had barely eaten, barely moved from his spot. But slowly he began to see a pattern. The machine was testing him, sending small challenges to see if he could solve them. And with every solution, the machine's hum grew louder, the light brighter. Finally, as the sun dipped below the trees, the last piece clicked into place. A panel opened, revealing a small screen with strange symbols. Ethan stared at it, heart pounding. The symbols moved, shifted, forming something that looked almost like a map. A map of energy of some kind of power flowing through the world. The machine pulsed and the voice spoke again, this time more clearly. You can see it. Ethan nodded slowly. He didn't fully understand yet, but he could feel it. The machine was showing him something incredible, something beyond human technology, and somehow it had chosen him to understand it. He leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. The forest around him seemed quieter now, as if waiting. Ethan realized that he had stepped into something far bigger than himself. Something that connected the machine, the forest, and perhaps even the world in ways he could not yet imagine. As night fell, he packed up his tools, leaving the machine humming softly in the clearing. But he knew this was only the beginning. The machine had spoken his name, acknowledged his mind, and now it had left him with a sense of purpose. He needed to come back, to understand more, to see what the machine truly wanted. Walking back through the forest, Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. He was just a human after all, but humans had a unique gift: curiosity, creativity, and the courage to face the unknown. And tonight, in the quiet of the woods, he realized that these gifts were exactly what the machine needed. The moon rose above the trees, casting silver light across the clearing where the machine waited. Its soft hum echoed in the silence like a heartbeat. And somewhere deep inside, Ethan knew that the adventure was just beginning. The machine had spoken his name, and in that moment, he understood he was not alone, and humanity had a part to play in something much greater than anyone had ever imagined. Ethan paused at the edge of the forest, looking back one last time. He smiled softly, a mixture of wonder and determination in his eyes. "I'll be back," he whispered, "and next time I'll understand everything." With that, he turned and walked away, the forest swallowing him in shadows and moonlight. The machine hummed on, waiting patiently for the human who could unlock its secrets, and in the silence of the night, the woods held their breath, knowing that the story of Ethan and the mysterious machine was only beginning. Ethan could not sleep that night. His mind kept returning to the machine in the forest, to the way it had called his name, and to the strange energy it seemed to carry. He lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every small detail he had noticed. Every sound, every light, every tiny movement of the machine. Something about it told him it was more than just a simple device. It was alive in a way that machines were not supposed to be. As soon as the sun rose, Ethan packed his tools again. He felt a strange urgency inside him, a pull that he could not ignore. Today he would return to the woods, and this time, he promised himself, he would understand more. The morning air was crisp as he walked toward the familiar trail. The forest seemed different in the daylight, friendlier but still full of secrets. When he reached the clearing, the machine was there, waiting. Its soft hum greeted him, and the faint blue lights glowed steadily. Ethan knelt beside it, his hands trembling slightly with excitement. He carefully examined the small screen that had appeared yesterday, showing the strange symbols. Now he wanted to decode them. He pulled out his notebook and began sketching the patterns, trying to see a sequence or a rhythm. The symbols seemed to shift slightly, as if they were aware he was watching them. Ethan realized that the machine was testing his observation skills, asking him to see patterns in what looked like chaos. "Okay," he whispered to himself. "Let's see if humans can figure this out." Hours passed as Ethan worked through the symbols. He compared them to different mathematical sequences, tried translating them like a language, and even drew connections between the glowing parts of the machine and the patterns on the screen. The sun moved higher, then lower, and Ethan hardly noticed. Every now and then the machine hummed louder, as if encouraging him, guiding him to the next step. Finally, a small breakthrough came. Ethan realized that the symbols were not random. They represented energy flows. Lines of light moved in patterns similar to electricity or magnetic fields. The machine was showing him a map of energy, a network that stretched far beyond the forest, possibly across the planet. Ethan's eyes widened as he realized the scale. This was not just a machine, it was a control center, a guardian of some kind. Suddenly, the machine spoke again. "You see it, understand it." Ethan felt a shiver run through him. The voice was faint, mechanical, but full of recognition. It seemed almost proud. "Yes," he said quietly. "I understand. I think I understand." The machine responded with a series of mechanical clicks, and a hidden panel opened. Inside was a small, glowing device unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Tiny gears turned inside it and wires shimmered with light. It was clear this device was a key, a part of the larger mechanism the machine was protecting. Ethan carefully examined it, his mind racing. He realized that the machine had been waiting for a human to solve its puzzles. The patterns, the symbols, even the mechanical tests. It was all a challenge designed to measure human creativity and problem-solving. He smiled, feeling a surge of pride. Humans might be ordinary in many ways, but in ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, they could surpass any machine. Hours passed again as he worked to understand the small device. It responded to his touch, glowing brighter when he applied the right sequence of movements. Ethan felt as if he were dancing with the machine, each step bringing him closer to unlocking its secrets. As evening approached, Ethan finally succeeded in activating the device. A soft beam of light shot out from it, connecting to the machine. The air around him seemed to hum with energy, and the forest grew quiet as if listening. The machine spoke again, this time more clearly. Human, capable, worthy. Ethan's heart leapt. He had passed the first test. The machine recognized him, not just as a mechanic, but as a thinker, a solver, a human being with the power to understand and protect. Suddenly, a soft vibration ran through the ground. Ethan looked around, startled. The energy map on the screen shifted, showing new pathways and points of light across the world. The machine was revealing a network, a system that humans had never seen before. It pulsed with power, but it also carried a warning. Something was coming, a force that could disrupt the balance of the planet. Ethan realized that the machine had not just been testing him for curiosity's sake. It needed his mind, his human ability to adapt and improvise to help prevent a disaster. His hands moved quickly, following the new symbols, making adjustments on the machine and connecting the small device to hidden circuits. The forest seemed to respond to his actions, leaves rustling softly as if encouraging him. Night fell, and the machine glowed brightly in the darkness. Ethan sat back, exhausted but focused. He could feel the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. This was bigger than anything he had ever faced. But he also knew something important. Humans were capable of facing the unknown, of solving problems no machine or alien technology could handle alone. As he rested for a moment, he noticed something moving in the shadows. Small, quick movements, almost like another presence in the forest. Ethan's heart raced, but he did not panic. He trusted his instincts and his human intuition. He stood slowly, keeping his eyes on the clearing, and whispered to himself, "Whatever it is, I can handle it." The movement paused, then slowly retreated. Ethan realized it was not a threat. Perhaps the forest itself was watching, or perhaps another part of the machine system was observing him. Either way, he felt a strange sense of connection. He was no longer alone. The machine had chosen him, and now he was part of something much larger than himself. Ethan spent the rest of the night working carefully, following the machine's guidance. The glowing lines on the screen moved like rivers of light, showing pathways and nodes, points of energy that seemed almost alive. The machine pulsed in rhythm with his actions, and for the first time, Ethan felt a true connection with technology, one that required not just skill but thought, courage, and heart. As dawn approached, Ethan finally paused. He leaned back, wiping sweat from his forehead, and looked at the machine. Its soft glow seemed to smile at him, a silent acknowledgement of his success. He realized that this was only the beginning. There were more challenges ahead, more puzzles to solve, and perhaps dangers he could not yet imagine. But he also knew this. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were thinkers, creators, and problem solvers. And with those gifts, he could face whatever lay ahead. Ethan packed up his tools carefully, leaving the machine humming softly in the clearing. He took one last look at it, feeling a mix of wonder and determination. He had learned something important tonight. Human curiosity and ingenuity were the key to unlocking secrets no machine could reveal alone. As he walked back through the forest, the first light of morning touched the treetops. The birds began to sing again, and the forest seemed alive with possibility. Ethan felt a new sense of purpose, a certainty that he was part of something extraordinary. Somewhere deep inside, he knew the machine had more to show him. More lessons, more tests, and perhaps a glimpse of the threats that lay ahead. But for now, he walked with confidence, knowing that humans had a unique power, the power to think, to create, and to overcome the impossible. When he finally reached the edge of the forest, Ethan paused and looked back at the clearing. The machine's soft blue glow pulsed faintly through the trees. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "I'll be back. I'll understand everything. And I'll be ready." And with that promise, he turned and walked toward the town, carrying with him the knowledge, the courage, and the determination that only a human could possess. The machine waited patiently in the woods, its hum like a heartbeat in the quiet forest, knowing that its human ally would return, and the adventure, Ethan realized, was only just beginning. Ethan returned to the forest at first light, carrying his bag of tools and a notebook filled with sketches and notes from his previous visit. The machine had been humming softly in his memory all night, and he could not stop thinking about the glowing map of energy it had shown him. Something important was hidden in its patterns, and he knew he had to uncover it. The forest was quiet except for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. As he approached the familiar clearing, he felt a small thrill of anticipation. There it was, the machine, waiting patiently, its faint blue glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Ethan knelt beside it, placing his tools on the mossy ground, and studied the glowing screen. The energy patterns had shifted overnight. Lines and nodes moved slightly, forming shapes that seemed almost like warnings. Ethan traced a glowing line with his finger. "These patterns, they're showing something," he muttered. He could sense that the machine was trying to communicate more than before. Its hum changed rhythm, responding to his thoughts as if encouraging him to understand faster. He opened his notebook and began matching the symbols from yesterday with the new patterns. Slowly, a picture began to form. The glowing lines represented energy flows across the planet, and some of the flows seemed unstable. They pulsed in irregular patterns as if something unseen was trying to disturb them. Suddenly, the machine spoke, its voice stronger this time. "Danger. Approaching. Requires human action." Ethan's heart raced. Danger? What kind of danger? He looked at the energy map, tracing the irregular pulses. The lines led to a strange cluster in the sky, a location he could not recognize. He realized that this was no ordinary threat. The machine was warning him about a cosmic event, something that could affect the planet itself. He focused on the machine's patterns, noting the points where the energy was weak. "It's like a puzzle," he said quietly, "and humans are the only ones who can solve it." Ethan worked carefully, following the glowing lines, making adjustments with the small device he had activated yesterday. Each correct step made the machine hum louder and brighter. He felt a sense of connection with it, as if their minds were working together to solve the problem. Hours passed. Ethan traced energy flows, adjusted circuits, and tested the machine's responses. The glowing map became clearer, and he began to understand the system. The machine was a guardian, a network designed to protect the planet from cosmic disturbances. But it could not act alone. It needed human insight, creativity, and problem-solving skills. "You."
"Capable. Solve."
The machine whispered, the words almost mechanical, almost human. Ethan smiled. "I'll do it," he said. "I'll fix it." He realized that this was more than a puzzle. The machine was giving him instructions to stabilize the energy flows. The cosmic event was approaching, and the energy lines were the key to protecting the planet. He adjusted the device carefully, connecting it to hidden circuits inside the machine. Sparks of light pulsed along the connections, and the hum grew stronger, vibrating through the clearing. As he worked, the forest seemed to come alive. Leaves rustled, small animals watched silently, and the air felt charged with energy. Ethan could feel the planet itself reacting to the machine's activation. The glowing lines on the screen shifted and pulsed faster, like a heartbeat racing against time. Then, a sudden surge of light shot from the device, and the machine spoke in a clear, urgent tone. "Ethan must complete sequence before arrival." The word sent a shiver down his spine. Arrival? Was this the cosmic event? He worked faster, his hands moving quickly but carefully. Every movement mattered. He connected wires, rotated gears, and pressed symbols in sequence. The machine responded immediately, pulsing with energy as the glowing map stabilized slightly. Ethan paused for a moment, breathing heavily. The challenge was unlike anything he had faced before, but he reminded himself of something important. Humans had a unique gift, the ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to find solutions where no one else could. And right now, that gift was the only thing that could save the planet. Hours turned into evening. Ethan's hands were tired, His eyes strained from staring at the glowing symbols, but he refused to stop. The energy flows on the screen were now almost fully stabilized except for a few weak points. He focused on those, tracing the lines and making careful adjustments. The machine's hum grew louder, almost like it was cheering him on. Suddenly, a soft vibration ran through the clearing, stronger than before. Ethan looked around, alert. The forest was silent now, holding its breath. He realized that the cosmic event was near and time was running out. Almost there, the machine whispered, its voice full of urgency. Ethan adjusted the final connections, aligning the energy flows perfectly. Sparks of light danced across the device and machine, and the screen showed a stable network, pulsing with calm energy. The forest seemed to exhale, and a wave of relief washed over Ethan. The machine's voice softened almost proudly. You saved balance. Human capable. Ethan smiled, exhausted but triumphant. He had done it. Through patience, intelligence, and human creativity, he had understood the machine and stabilized the energy flows. The cosmic event had been neutralized, at least for now. He leaned back against a tree, taking a moment to rest. The forest was peaceful, the machine's hum steady and gentle. Ethan realized something important. Humans might not be the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced, but their ability to think, adapt, and solve problems made them powerful in ways machines could not match. As he packed up his tools, the machine spoke one last time for the night. Human. Key. Future. Ethan nodded. He understood now. This was not just about saving the planet from one cosmic event. The machine had chosen humans, specifically him, to be part of something larger, a system that required human thought, courage, and creativity to protect life itself. He walked back through the forest, the moon rising behind him, casting silver light on the path. The adventure was far from over, but he felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. Humans had a unique power, and tonight he had proven that his mind could meet the challenges of the universe. As he reached the edge of the forest, he paused and looked back at the clearing. The machine's soft blue glow pulsed faintly through the trees, like a heartbeat in the quiet woods. Ethan whispered softly, "I'll return. There's more to learn, more to protect." And with that promise, he stepped into the town, carrying the knowledge, courage, and determination that only a human could possess. The machine waited patiently in the woods, knowing that its human ally would come back, ready to face whatever mysteries the universe had in store. In the quiet of the night, the stars above seemed to shine brighter, and somewhere far away, a pulse of energy traveled through the cosmos, hinting at challenges yet to come. Ethan had proven humans were not ordinary. They were capable, creative, and unstoppable when the future depended on them. The story was far from over. The cosmic event was only the first test, and Ethan understood that his journey with the machine had only just begun. But tonight, he knew one thing for certain. Humans could rise to any challenge, even when faced with mysteries larger than life itself. Ethan returned to the forest once more, his steps faster and more confident than before. He carried his bag of tools, but also a growing sense of purpose. The machine had chosen him for a reason, and each visit seemed to deepen the connection between him and the strange device. The forest felt alive, welcoming him as he walked through the familiar path. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, and somewhere far off, a deer paused and watched him pass. When he reached the clearing, the machine was already humming softly, its faint blue glow pulsing in rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Ethan knelt beside it and carefully examined the screen. The energy map was more complex than ever. New patterns had emerged overnight, moving in ways he had never seen before. It was clear that this was a new challenge, something the machine had not shown him previously. Ethan set down his tools and studied the patterns. The glowing lines of energy twisted and turned, forming shapes that seemed almost like a mechanical puzzle. The machine spoke, its voice urgent. Final. Challenge. Must complete. Sequence. Ethan took a deep breath. He had faced tests before, but this felt different. The machine was no longer just testing him. It was challenging him in a way that required every skill he had. He knew that human creativity, adaptability, and courage would be the only way to succeed. He started by tracing the energy lines carefully, observing how they shifted in response to his touch. The small device he had activated in the previous visit glowed brighter as he worked. Sparks of light danced across its surface, reacting to his movements. Every correct adjustment caused a pulse of energy to flow through the system, stabilizing one part of the network at a time. Hours passed. Ethan rotated gears, pressed symbols in sequence, and connected circuits with precision. Each movement required both patience and creativity. The machine responded immediately, humming louder with each successful step. Ethan realized that the puzzle was designed to test not just his hands but his mind. Suddenly, a new challenge appeared. A section of the energy network became unstable, shifting rapidly and glowing red. Ethan frowned. This was unexpected. He examined the small device carefully and noticed that it could interface with the machine in multiple ways. Using his knowledge of mechanics, he adjusted the connections, improvising a solution that combined the machine's technology with his own ideas. The machine hummed loudly, almost approvingly, and the red glow faded. Ethan smiled. He realized that human ingenuity was exactly what the machine needed. Machines could follow instructions, but only humans could think creatively, adapt to unexpected changes, and find solutions that were not pre-programmed. As the night fell, the energy network on the screen grew more complex. The cosmic event that had been approaching earlier was still a threat, but now Ethan understood that the machine relied on him to manage the network. If he failed, the energy flows could collapse and the planet might be in danger. The responsibility was immense, but Ethan felt ready. He worked tirelessly, following the shifting patterns, making small adjustments, and solving new puzzles as they appeared. The machine's hum grew louder and more urgent, and Ethan could feel the tension in the air. The forest itself seemed to respond to his actions. The wind blew gently, leaves shimmered in the moonlight, and tiny animals watched silently from the shadows. Hours turned into early morning. Ethan's hands were tired, his eyes strained, but he refused to stop. He knew that the final challenge required not just technical skill but courage. One wrong move could destabilize the network. He focused, thinking carefully about every adjustment, every connection, and every symbol. Suddenly, a loud pulse of energy surged through the device. The machine's voice rang out clearly. Ethan, capable, human, worthy. Ethan's heart leapt. He had reached the final stage. The machine recognized his efforts, his creativity, and his courage. It had tested him in ways no human or machine could fully predict, and he had succeeded. But there was one final obstacle. The glowing map on the screen revealed a dark point of energy, moving toward the planet with incredible speed. The cosmic event was not just approaching, it was imminent. Ethan realized that he had to act quickly. He adjusted the small device, connecting it to the machine in a new configuration. Sparks flew, and the energy lines pulsed brightly, responding to his changes. Ethan worked as fast as he could, tracing the lines, rotating gears, and pressing the final symbols in sequence. The machine's hum grew louder, almost like a song of encouragement. The dark point on the energy map slowed, then split into smaller fragments, dissipating safely into space. The cosmic event had been neutralized. Ethan leaned back, exhausted but triumphant. The machine's glow softened, and its voice spoke warmly. Human, saved, planet, worthy. Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. He had faced the machine's ultimate challenge and succeeded. Through creativity, courage, and problem-solving, he had proven that humans were capable of extraordinary things. As he packed up his tools, Ethan looked around the clearing. The forest was calm, peaceful, and full of life. The machine's hum was steady and gentle, like a heartbeat in the quiet woods. He realized that humans were not alone in the universe. With their unique abilities, they could face challenges that no machine or alien force could overcome alone. Ethan walked back through the forest, the first light of dawn casting gold across the trees. He felt a renewed sense of purpose. The machine had chosen him for a reason, and he understood now that his journey was far from over. Humans had a unique gift, the power to think, adapt, and create solutions where none seemed possible. As he reached the edge of the forest, Ethan paused and looked back at the clearing. The machine's soft blue glow pulsed faintly through the trees like a heartbeat in the quiet woods. He whispered softly, "I'll return, and I'll be ready for whatever comes next." And with that promise, he stepped into the town, carrying the knowledge, courage, and determination that only a human could possess. The machine waited patiently in the forest, knowing that its human ally would come back, ready to face new challenges, mysteries, and adventures. Somewhere deep in the cosmos, The energy network stabilized by Ethan's actions pulsed softly. The machine had accomplished its immediate goal, but it had more to reveal, more lessons to teach, and more tests to prepare. Ethan had proven humans were not ordinary. They were extraordinary, capable of facing mysteries far beyond their understanding. And so, the adventure continued. The machine had spoken his name, acknowledged his abilities, and now the forest and the universe itself seemed to hold their breath, waiting for the next chapter in Ethan's incredible journey. Ethan had learned something essential. Humans, through courage, creativity, and intelligence, could overcome challenges no machine or alien force could, and tonight he had proven it. Ethan returned to the forest one last time for now, carrying his bag of tools and a mind full of ideas. The forest greeted him as always with rustling leaves and distant bird calls, but today it felt different. The machine had changed. Its hum was stronger, more alive, as if it had been waiting for him to come back and finish what he had started. He knelt beside the glowing device, now more intricate than before, its small lights pulsing with energy. The energy map on the screen had expanded, showing more networks, more flows, and a greater challenge. Something was happening in the universe that required the machine and a human mind working together. Ethan realized that this was the ultimate test, the final sequence that would prove humans' creativity, courage, and intelligence. The machine spoke clearly, its voice firm and mechanical but full of meaning. Ethan. Final sequence. Protect planet. Ethan nodded. He understood now that his role was not just to fix machines or solve puzzles. Humans were being asked to guide, to adapt, and to think in ways no other beings could. His hands shook slightly with excitement and responsibility as he reached for the device. He began by tracing the energy flows on the screen. The lines pulsed faster, showing areas of instability. Ethan realized that the cosmic forces approaching Earth were stronger than before. Small red pulses appeared along the map, signaling weak points. He worked quickly, connecting circuits, pressing symbols, and adjusting the glowing device. Every correct move stabilized a section of the network. Hours passed, but Ethan refused to stop. The machine's hum grew louder, almost like encouragement. The forest around him seemed to quiet in respect, and tiny animals watched silently from the shadows. He knew he had to succeed. The planet's safety depended on his human ingenuity. Suddenly, a surge of energy shot through the device, and the map showed a large dark mass approaching Earth. The cosmic event was happening now. Ethan's heart raced, but he focused, remembering everything he had learned. Patience, observation, creativity. These were the keys to solving the final challenge. He rotated small gears, adjusted hidden circuits, and pressed sequences of glowing symbols with careful precision. Each movement caused the energy lines on the screen to stabilize, pulse by pulse. The red weak points began to fade, replaced by calm, glowing flows. The machine hummed in approval, a sound that felt almost alive. Then, a new obstacle appeared. A complex pattern of interlocking energy lines shifted unexpectedly, threatening to destabilize the network again. Ethan frowned. This was more difficult than anything he had faced before. But he reminded himself that humans had a unique ability, the power to adapt. He studied the lines carefully, tracing patterns, imagining how the energy would move if he changed the connections. Slowly, he began to make adjustments, combining what the machine had shown him with his own creativity. A small spark of light traveled along one of the lines, then another, until the energy began to flow smoothly. Ethan smiled, realizing that human intuition and problem-solving were exactly what the machine needed. Hours turned into the night, and Ethan worked tirelessly. The cosmic event drew closer, but the energy network responded to his actions. The glowing lines shifted, balanced, and pulsed like a living organism. The machine's voice spoke again, calmer this time, almost like it was proud. Human. Saved energy. Flows capable. Ethan paused for a moment, leaning back against a tree. He was tired, his hands sore, but he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had faced the ultimate challenge and succeeded. The cosmic threat had been neutralized through his creativity, courage, and determination. Humans had proven their worth. But there was still one final step. The machine projected a holographic interface above the device, showing the planet surrounded by a network of protective energy flows. Small adjustments were needed to fully activate the system. Ethan studied the lines carefully, connecting circuits and adjusting sequences. Each successful move made the machine glow brighter and hum louder. Finally, with one last adjustment, the energy flows stabilized completely. The cosmic mass approaching Earth dissipated safely into space, leaving the planet unharmed. Ethan's heart leapt. He had done it. He had completed the final sequence, saved the planet, and proven that humans were capable of extraordinary things. The machine's lights pulsed warmly, and its voice spoke one last time. Human, worthy, saved. Future, thank you. Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. He had not just repaired a machine or solved puzzles. He had become part of something far greater. The machine had trusted him, and he had trusted himself. Together, they had protected the planet. As he packed up his tools, Ethan looked around the clearing. The forest was calm, peaceful, and full of life. The stars above shone brightly, as if celebrating the victory. He realized that humans were not just ordinary. They were creators, problem solvers, and protectors. His own abilities, combined with determination and intelligence, had made the difference. Ethan walked back through the forest, feeling stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever. The soft glow of the machine faded behind him, but he knew it would always be there, ready for the next challenge. Humans had proven their power to adapt, to think, and to solve problems no other being could. When he reached the edge of the forest, he paused and looked back. The machine's soft hum echoed faintly through the trees like a heartbeat in the quiet woods. Ethan whispered softly, "I'll return, when you need me again." And with that, he stepped into the town, carrying the knowledge, courage, and determination that only a human could possess. He knew the adventure was far from over. The universe was vast, full of mysteries and challenges, but he had proven that humans could rise to any occasion. Somewhere far away, the energy network stabilized by Ethan's actions pulsed softly across the planet. The cosmic threat had been neutralized, but the machine had more secrets, more lessons, and more challenges waiting for him. Ethan understood that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. As he walked through the quiet streets, he felt a sense of pride and wonder. Humans were ordinary in many ways, but extraordinary in their ability to think, adapt, and create solutions where none seemed possible. Tonight, he had proven it. The stars above shone brighter, and somewhere in the forest, the machine waited patiently, humming softly, ready for the day when it would call Ethan's name again. He had become more than a mechanic. He had become a human capable of protecting the planet, a guardian of energy, and a symbol of what humans could achieve when they faced the unknown with courage, creativity, and determination. Ethan smiled, looking up at the sky. "Humans can do anything," he whispered, knowing that the universe had many challenges ahead, and he was ready for them all. The forest and the machine waited silently, holding their breath, as the first chapter of Ethan's extraordinary adventure came to a close. But somewhere deep in space, new mysteries were already stirring, waiting for the human who had proven that ingenuity, courage, and intelligence could overcome any challenge. Ethan had saved the planet, unlocked the machine's secrets, and shown that humans were capable of greatness. The story was far from over, but tonight, he knew one thing for certain: humans were extraordinary, and the universe had only begun to discover their potential. And so, with a heart full of pride and determination, Ethan walked toward his home, ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that humans and he were ready for anything.